And today is Future Firm Friday, and once again we have Dr. Ashley Maru, a personal injury lawyer who is making waves in the legal community by combining his legal knowledge with medical knowledge. Dr. Maru is a managing partner at Future Firm Law and board-certified radiologist. His law firm specializes in personal injury cases such as car accidents and many more. And today we're here to talk about what it takes to build a strong personal injury case. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Maru. Yep. I'm so glad that you're back. And, starting off the top, the 3 things that you recommend to build that strong relationship in those type of cases.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me, what do I do to add value to my personal injury case? What makes a valuable personal injury case? Well, like my rule of 3s, as I said last time, I like to break things down into 3. It makes it easy to remember and easy to think about. So let's start with number 1. And this may sound kind of simple, but you have to have an injury. You have to actually have an injury. It has to be documented. It has to be diagnosed, and it should be treated. Okay. So that sounds very simple, but a lot of times people want to be tough. People don't want to go to the doctor. People don't want to get diagnosed. Well, that will hurt your case, because ultimately when we're trying to recover money for you, we're talking about your medical expenses. We're talking about your pain and suffering. We're talking about your future medical expenses. If you don't have an injury, then we're not able to make those arguments.
So documenting it.
Documenting it. Make sure it gets diagnosed from the very beginning. And again, I know it sounds simple, but it's so incredibly important. You have to have an injury. Right. If you don't get injured, if it's just if it's just property damage to the car, you don't have a personal injury case.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second most important thing is fault, establishing fault. If you are 100% at fault for a car crash that you cause and you become injured as a part of that car crash, you cannot collect any money. Oh. Not if you're 100% at fault. If you think about it, it makes sense. If it's your fault, why should you be able to collect any money? But Florida is very unique. Florida is something called a pure comparative negligence state. And those are fancy legal words, but what they mean are, if you are a small percentage at fault or a large percentage at fault, if there is any fault on the other party, even if it's a small percentage, then you still have a case. That's very important to remember. So even if you're 90% at fault for a car accident, you still can collect money based on the 10% fault of the other party and based on your injuries and how permanent those injuries and how severe those injuries are.
So there is compensation then?
There is compensation. Yeah. And just because a police report says this person is at fault and this person is not, let us work out those details at Future Firm Law. There are ways to get through those police reports and establish where maybe you're partially at fault, but there is also fault on the other party, and that needs to be taken into consideration. And when we're talking about assigning those percentages of fault, we're really talking about a jury. We're talking about a jury that gets to decide who's at fault at what percentage. So it's very interesting, but fault is necessary. So injury, fault, and finally, the most important thing is insurance coverage.
Okay.
You got to have money to go after. You got to have some money to go after. And people think that when someone's at fault and you sue them, that you're going to be able to collect part of their assets or part of that individual person's wealth. Well, what typically happens more often than not, you're not going to collect anything from them individually. Who you will collect from is the insurance company of that person. So that person's going to have automobile insurance, what's called bodily injury insurance, and that provides a certain amount of money that you can go after. You individually can carry another type of insurance called underinsured or uninsured motorist. What that allows you to do is, if the person that hits you that's at fault doesn't have insurance money to go after, you can go after your own insurance in a way to provide compensation.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always recommend uninsured motorist insurance for people to carry individually. But insurance is complicated.
Yes.
So let us at Future Firm Law figure out what money is available from what insurance carriers. That's our job, to figure out how much money we can actually go after to compensate our clients for their injuries.
And not just for that third point, for all points. So, legal expertise is the one thing to go. And of course, with Future Firm Law, that's the place to, get all that solved. Right then and there.
Yeah, we understand how to build a strong case. We understand how to find those injuries with my background, especially as a radiologist. We understand how to document and prove those injuries. We understand how to find liability or find fault that's on the correct side. for our clients. And we understand how to fight the insurance companies and find that insurance company money that we can go after to benefit our clients.
Thank you, Dr. Maru, for all those wonderful tips. And of course, you can find more on Future Firm Law, all the information on your screen.